Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Maestros podcast. It's been a little while, took a little hiatus for winter break, so hopefully, you guys all had a good New Year and a great Christmas. First podcast of 2023. Hopefully, my goals for this year is to continue to grow this podcast and see where it takes us. Been more active on the TikTok side of things. Some of the clips have been blowing up, so going to continue to be active on there. If you're new to the show, welcome in. We're the Basketball Maestros, and we talk everything NBA from news and just rumors and just our thoughts on certain teams, games, and all that stuff. Daniel focuses more on the NFL sides, and I focus on the NBA, but we combine our knowledge in both of those sports and kind of just flow off that. But we have a lot to talk about since we've been gone for like about a little over a month and a half now. So we'll just get kicked off with Daniel talking about the NFL. The NFL currently in the playoffs. I believe we left off like last couple weeks of the regular season. So a lot to talk about, and Daniel will kick us off with that.
Yeah, so we are on Conference Championship Sunday this upcoming week. This season's gone by really fast. It's kind of sad that we're winding down to the end of it. But we had some pretty exciting divisional round games this past week. So just to kind of start off, honestly, nothing was too crazy in my opinion. Everything that happened, I kind of expected. Eagles dismant, like absolutely destroying the Giants, something that I think everyone kind of saw coming. But New York shouldn't be too sad because the fact that you guys got into the divisional round was honestly really surprising. I don't think anyone saw this at the beginning of the year. So going into year two at Dayball, you guys should be very happy. Got to get Saquon back on contract, but I think with another year with more weapons hopefully being added for Daniel Jones, I think that team could be really scary. Obviously, that defense needs improving, but like I said, this is only the first year of Dayball being that coach there. Um, and with the Chiefs and Jaguars, I mean, kind of expected the Chiefs to win, but Jaguars made it competitive until the end. Unfortunately, a little Agnew fumbled, not like the five or something like that, and that kind of sealed the game. But again, with the Jaguars, no one expected you to get this far, and honestly, pretty should be proud. And the fact that they came back last week prior to the Chargers, that was pretty cool. And then on Sunday, which I thought were the better games, Bills and Bengals, yeah. That was kind of 50-50 for me. But for the way that the Bills or not the Bills, the Bengals came in there and it's snowing and they just absolutely let the Bills have it was pretty crazy. Joe Burrow is just so good. That offensive line stepped up in a big way and that team is scary right now. And if you're a Bills fans, you should be I would be, kind of worrying right now because it's been 3 years of playoff runs that all end up no. And Josh Allen has been outplayed by Mahomes and Burrow this year, especially in the playoffs. And now, what do you kind of see that this team goes? Because it's weird. This team is they're really talented, but they just can't get over that hump. And who really knows if it's the players or the coaches? It's just I mean, next year they kind of have to go in and I think they really have to improve the offense. And you may be thinking, how do they improve that? They already have Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. They have Dawson Knox, who's a and but you really look at it at the receivers, and Gabe Davis should be a slot receiver at best. There's no way that this man is a number two receiver on an NFL team. And I love Gabe Davis. I think he's a really good player. But this Bills team, they need to improve that offense. Their running backs are There's no real ball carrier there. There's no real number one guy that you can trust to get, 4 yards, 3 yards when you really need it. And that's kind of just the reality of it. And Josh Allen simply needs to play better, in my opinion. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. And with all those turnovers, I know that, we can't keep just blaming him on turnovers and it's all his fault, but some of them are really bad. And you expect someone who's top 5 quarterback in most people's list to play better than that. But really excited for the Bengals Chiefs this weekend. That's going to be really fun. Um, and yeah, we'll have to really monitor how Patrick Mahomes' ankle's feeling, but it'd be really crazy if Joe Burrow can go 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes in 4 meetings, which, that would be pretty crazy. And you'd have to start asking, is Joe Burrow better than Mahomes? Who knows? He beats him 4 straight times. I mean, that is something that I think that should be brought up. And last one, which was, I think, in my opinion, the most hyped up one of the weekend, in my opinion, was obviously the Cowboys and Niners. And it kind of ended how I expected it. I mean, I knew the Niners would win. And honestly, props to the Cowboys defense, because that was, I think, one of the best games that they have played all year. Holding the Niners to 19 points isn't easy, and the fact that they were able to do that and keep them in the game was, pretty impressive to me. Now the big storylines out of that game is obviously Tony Pollard getting hurt. I think that really hurt the Cowboys, and that I feel bad for him because of how good of a player he's been. And now, you know, it's gonna take him months to recover. And I'd assume the Cowboys franchise tag him, and I just pray that he comes back, same player that he was, because that's just such an unfortunate injury to kind of sustain. And then the biggest, I think, talking point about this game is Dak Prescott. And let's be honest, he did not play well. He did not play good enough. He has all the weapons in the world. He has an offensive line. He has, obviously, Pollard was out, but Zeke underperforming too as well, but still, just 12 points. And I know that Niner defense is good, but 2 interceptions near the red zone multiple times where it just looks like he's not comfortable in the pocket. And, really have to start asking yourself this question. You guys are paying him like 30 plus million a year, and this guy just doesn't look like he's comfortable out there. And I know it's hard to find another franchise QB, but I assume that they roll back this year with him. I wouldn't be surprised. They have to get another receiver. I think that Amari Cooper trade really hurt them this year. Why they did that. But now you have to kind of look at it, and if he doesn't play or step up as he did first couple years, then I feel like that they're gonna have to move on. And that's just kind of the cold reality of the NFL. But I feel like that after this next year, if he doesn't perform, that they will easily move on from him. But Niners Eagles is gonna be a good one too. That one's gonna be interesting. I would like to say I favor the Eagles right now, just because I'm not that big of a fan of Purdy. I think that he's definitely a good system QB, but I just don't know if he can really step up fully when needed, especially in Philadelphia, especially if they're down like a couple scores or down a touchdown and they need to score. I don't know if he'll step up in that moment, but he has shown excellent poise so far this season, and he's stepped up really. So honestly, who knows what we can expect out of him? But right now, I have Eagles Bengals making the Super Bowl. That is my prediction. That is who I think will make it. And honestly, these are two matchups that I'm really glad that we had, because years past, you feel like one team's definitely gonna win, but these two matchups, either team, it's gonna be really watch.
And I kind of have my casual NFL questions for you. What do you think Tom Brady's going to do? You think he's going to call it quits or go somewhere else?
Um,
Raiders?
he's gonna keep playing. I don't see him retiring. I don't think there's a world where he retires. Now there's a couple teams out there where we're seeing where he might go, and the Raiders are on that list. Obviously the whole Derek Carr stuff happened.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My just quick opinions on it is it needed to happen after this year. Obviously something happened with him and McDaniels. Um, is it sad? Yes, but is it time for a new quarterback? Yes. Is Tom Brady the answer? No. I do not want Tom Brady, but Tom Brady will probably become a Raider. I don't see him going to Miami. I don't see him sticking the Tampa. Realistically, I think McDaniels is gonna push to get Brady on the Raiders, and yikes. That's all I could say.
You think he goes there with like a really tough division? I feel like he wants to go somewhere where it's like kind of a cakewalk division.
I would assume that. I mean, it's Tom Brady. One of the best competitors had in this. I don't assume that he would just roll over because the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, who obviously Russell Wilson did great, but towards the end of the you saw flashes. It's I'd assume that honestly, I think what I personally would want to happen if we were to go out, I kind of want Rodgers just because we have that Devontae Adams already. We have that connection. We still have weapons. Um, and we could probably get 3 good years out of Rodgers, 2 to 3 more years if he's even to play. With Brady, we could probably get the same amount, but I just don't want 45-year-old Tom Brady in the pocket. And the Raiders and Pats already had history with Brady and that whole Tuck rules. As a Raider fan, it'll be just weird watching him be our quarterback. But to your question, I don't think Brady's the type of player to back down from competition. But it's realistic. You have to look at the AFC, and if he goes to the AFC, every division's competitive. West is competitive. Maybe the South isn't. Now you have the Jags there, who are probably going to take over. The East is obviously ran by the Bills and Dolphins. Right? North is always the AFC North. You really have no idea what's happening there. So, I mean, wherever he decides to go, he either stays in the NFC South, which is not as competitive right now, or goes to a competitive division because every division is competitive realistically, besides 1 or 2.
Where do you think, if he had to pick a place, where do you think he goes?
I think it's Raiders 100. I think he reunites with McDaniels. I think he goes West Coast. The Niners would also be interesting. I know that he's said that he was a Niners fan growing up, obviously, but it's up to San Francisco. I don't think they want to get rid of Purdy, obviously. But truly think it's between the Raiders or the Dolphins.
Think it's just a 1 year like big money deal, or do you think it's multi-year?
I think I would assume it'd be a 1 year. It's all up to him though, but I would assume it's a 1 year, a lot of money. I wouldn't expect him to want. It's all up to him. It's all up to Brady. But personally, just to make me happy, just do a year. Don't make me sit there 3 years watching Tom Brady in the pocket.
Well, that's our NFL little talk right there. Moving on to the NBA, you got to start off with the biggest news we probably had in a while. The trade deadline is coming up. It's for 3 weeks tomorrow on Thursday. So coming up on the trade deadline, February 9th. It's been 2 trades so far. Noah Vonleh was the first domino to fall, which was honestly a trade nobody really cares about. But a couple days ago, the good old Los Angeles Lakers making a very surprising trade. The one time I decided to sleep in for once. Um, I would constantly wake up to my phone vibrating a lot, and I contemplated waking up multiple times, but just continued to sleep in. Woke up to Twitter exploding, and the Lakers made a trade for Rui Hachimura, who is a forward for the Washington Wizards, and the Lakers traded Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks to the Wizards. And the hope is the Lakers are going to keep Rui Hachimura around long term. He's going to be a restricted free agent this upcoming summer, which a trade that the Lakers make is usually a win now move. And this is very much a trade for the future, which is very surprising to say. And it's honestly refreshing that the Lakers make a trade for the future, because the past couple of seasons, it's been constant turnover and just new players over and over. So, my main complaint for the Lakers recently has just been continuity, building a familiar team and moving very few players as you can every year. So, starting off from the Wizards' perspective, I mean, 3 seconds, decent for Rui, but when I first saw the trade, I thought to myself, first, it's a little early, and I feel like you maybe could have gotten a protected first for Rui, but maybe I'm just um, overvaluing him. I think he's still a very young player. I believe he's like 24, 25. Um, just dropped a 30-point career night a couple nights ago against the Magic. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like towards the end of the deadline gives up a protected first for him. I don't think that's too crazy to ask for. But I mean, 3 seconds is still a decent haul, I suppose. And Kendrick Nunn has just been just beyond a disappointment. You know, he's had some flashes, like he's had a couple of games here and there where his scoring has looked good, but just for the most part, he's been so inconsistent and just horrific shooting, just not good at defense. And um, against the Grizzlies, Kendrick Nunn just had some very bad fouls in crunch time. So just overall, not a good experience in Los Angeles, which when we first signed him, I thought that was a very underrated signing, but very well proved not to be that way. But now for the Wizards, I think they just have to pick a direction. They're kind of the mindset that they can compete for the playoffs. I mean, their team is just obviously not constructed that way. Um, they're a game out of the play-in, which I mean is cool, but you want to pay Kuzma, but does Kuzma really want to stay there? I think Kuzma's kind of like a big city guy. You can tell by his fashion that he wants to be like a big city player. I think Los Angeles was kind of like the dream situation for him until it was just inevitably time to move on. Just too many roles for him, but I think Kuzma is probably going to demand 20 million or more, and even if Washington offers him that, I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to be in Washington surrounded by Bradley Beal, who he's good, but not worth the super max money that he got this past season? Do I want to play with Porzingis, who's right now injured, but has those injury concerns? Do I want to play with like Monte Morris, Denny Advia, Daniel Gafford? Like, just overall, I don't think Kuzma wants to be there. It wouldn't surprise me if he left regardless if Washington gave him the money he was asking for. And just drafting for the Wizards has been also really bad. Johnny Davis, who was a lottery pick for him this year, isn't even seeing playing time on a what should be a tanking team. So for 3 seconds, I mean, you'll take that if you're a Laker fan. I mean, I believe the seconds are 2027 and 29, which the Wizards have proven that they're not a good drafting team. So I doubt they're going to be valuable players in the second round. And I kind of touched on it for the Lakers, but I think you do this trade 10 times out of 10, just any day of the week you're doing this trade. You're trading a guard, which you already have a lot of them, which we've talked about plenty. He hasn't been effective either, and you pick up a guy who's first of all above the height of 6'1", so that's good. His shooting, I'm interested to see what that looks like. He's a very good corner 3-point shooter. I believe it's like 40%, I want to say, but on like the wings or the top of the break threes, he's low 30s. So I'm interested to see how he operates in terms of 3-point shooting. But I want to say he's an okay defender, but I've heard conflicting things. People are saying he's not the greatest, but he's decent. So we'll see how he looks tonight. At the time of this recording, the Lakers are going to be playing the Spurs. So he's going to be making his Laker debut tonight. So very excited to watch that as well. But yeah, overall, I think if I were to put a grade on it, I would give the Lakers a B. I think this is just a high upside trade, not much risk here. You traded 3 seconds, which I mean, as I said, it's decent for the Wizards, but you're giving up Kendrick Nunn alongside that, so it's not much risk at all whatsoever. And for the Wizards, I'd give it like a D. I mean, I feel like you probably could have gotten maybe a late first, protected first for Rui if you just held out a little longer. But overall, you just need to pick a direction, and I think that direction is just to blow it up. Don't think there's much here for the Wizards to just build around, and giving Bradley Beal that huge contract was just a mistake from the get go. He's not worth super max, and I think the Wizards have a lot of decisions to make, and that starts with Kyle Kuzma. I'm interested to see what happens there. As I said, don't think he's going to stay there, but overall, I think this was a very good trade for the Lakers. If you want to give your thoughts,
Yeah, so when I first saw the news broke, I honestly thought it was like a joke or something because like it was on one of those like everyone knows like those like scuffed like Instagram like accounts for some reason. Like I didn't show up on like an actual account that I trusted, and then like 10 minutes passed and I saw like all the accounts post. I was like, oh, okay, this actually happened. My first reaction was thank God we got rid of a guard, especially Kendrick Nunn. Um, Multiple 0 point games somehow. Very talented
unbelievable.
player. I was excited for him because I honestly knew that he wasn't obviously bad in Miami. I didn't think he was terrible, and then he just comes here and dead for an entire season, and then shows us what he's made of this year, which is absolutely nothing.
Banged his knee on a coffee table and was out for the year. Bro.
Dude, that was insane. But I mean, we've all been every Laker fan has hated Rob for the past 6 months of not being aggressive enough, not doesn't know how to build a roster, won't trade, and he finally did it. Finally took all that noise and decided, all right, I'll make a move. And I'm happy with it. I like it. I mean, like you said, he's a young player. I think that he hasn't really been too crazy on the Wizards. Hasn't really shown any like crazy. I mean, obviously he's talented, but you know what I mean, like crazy talented player. But still, I think he's a piece that the Lakers needed. He's a depth piece that we can definitely use, and I'm really excited to see what happens with it. Does this make us a championship team now? No, but um, hopefully a play-in team now. Hopefully we can get in that play-in. But maybe he can help good old LeBron, who just dropped 46 just to lose. Get that man some help, man. AD needs to come back and save us all. But
Tonight, hopefully.
for what the Wizards are kind of looking at, I think it's 100% gonna be they're trying to get Kuzma just to stick long term, and I can see him staying there. I can see him not, but they're obviously making it known that they're gonna make a run for him, saying that we want you to stay. And that team's just so weird. It's just the Wizards overall, like you said, like their lottery pick. I don't even know his name. Like I don't even know who he is.
Exactly.
Like I don't even like Denji. Oh, I don't even know whatever his name is. That other lottery pick they had, bust. Like I just their drafting's been awful. Bradley Beal just is staying there because he has to like Washington. There's no way he's just like we can win a
Yeah.
championship. Like no, you can't. But that organization is so weird. Like they should have blown it up with trading Beal a long time ago. But he wants to say so. Whatever, but honestly, it's just a win for the Lakers. I mean, 3 second-round picks for a team who can't even draft a lottery pick, you should be happy about. And for us, it's just a win. For the Wizards, it's what are you doing, man? But who cares? Lakers got cool new players, so we'll be happy. But overall, I think Lakers Rob did a really good job here. And for the Wizards, maybe they weren't truly getting anything else, so they just kind of took this, but trade deadline is still a couple weeks away. Probably could have got, but um, That's kind of it.
And then, I laughed when the quotes came out last night because Rob and Rui had like a little press conference thing before Lakers Clippers last night. And I heard a very familiar quote that he said, "We're not done yet." And we all know that age during the summertime, during summer league, where he had that he joined the ESPN broadcasting. We're not done. And sure enough, he came back out after ducking all media interviews for like basically since summertime, and came out and said, "Yeah, we're not done." And just want to give my little wish list of a player to trade for. It's probably my Laker fan, like absolute copium, where Laker fans get clowned saying that they want everybody in the league. But even if it's unrealistic, just putting it out there, I think this is a wish list. Just a player I really want to see on the team. I've said it before. I want to see the Lakers try and get Gary Trent Jr. I think he's a guy that I don't envision staying in Toronto, whether that be he gets traded or finds a new team in free agency. I just think Gary Trent is a very good player to at least trade one first for. Um, I think he just fits this team very well, and obviously he's a wing. I want to say he's a good defender. I remember in Portland in the playoff series, he was always guarding LeBron. So I want to say he's still at least a respectable defender. And I just think he would fit nicely in the starting lineup alongside LeBron, AD, and Dennis, and all those guys. So I think Gary Trent is a player I really want to see on this team. I don't know how available he is, and I don't know if the Raptors are necessarily open to selling some players, but I think it's very, very likely that the Raptors could be a seller. I mean, 6 games below 500, but only a game and a half out of the plan. But hopefully, we actually see Rob hold his word on this time around. I think it's either going to be Gary Trent or Boyan. Probably most likely Boyan. I think Boyan's just the more likely player to get traded because he's on a rebuilding team. Doesn't necessarily fit the timeline, and would not be surprised if he gets moved, whether that be to the Lakers or just somebody else in general. But I think those are the two likely players. I think you just need a player who's a wing or is just a really good shooter, and I think both of those players fit that. Boyan, obviously, probably not the greatest defender in the world, but I think the shooting makes up for it, having a career year this year. And yeah, we'll see what the Lakers do moving forward. Sticking with the Lakers here, got some big news. Anthony Davis is returning to the lineup tonight, hopefully. That was the word last night and this morning that he's going to return tonight, but currently listed on the injury report as questionable. But when this episode airs, we'll see if that actually happens or not. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he does. And the Lakers somehow kept their head above water. I believe their record without AD was 10-10, I want to say. And as I say that, I'm going to say they're 13th in the conference right now, which isn't great. But then again, you're only 2.5 out of 6. You're 1.5 out of 10. So, I mean, obviously, you still have a lot of basketball to play. And Anthony Davis, fingers crossed that this isn't a lingering injury that comes to bite him down later in the season when we're making a playoff push and
It will.
his foot starts experiencing pain again. But Darvin Ham has made it sound like he's been feeling great, pain free. So we'll see. But overall, I think AD coming back tonight is a huge plus. Um, Obviously, that gives LeBron a lot of help. And then you have Lonnie Walker also listed as questionable as well. They recently, Lonnie and Austin Reeves got reevaluated, I believe it was like a couple days ago. Lonnie Walker is more ahead of schedule than Austin. But two key rotational players, hopefully back in the rotation very soon. And you have AD coming back tonight, which is huge. And you got a big game tonight, like a kind of warm up against the Spurs. And then you head to Boston on Saturday, which is going to be a huge game. And kind of want to get your opinion on this. So if AD, which is obviously a big if he stays healthy for the remainder of the year, what seed do you picture the Lakers finishing when it's all said and done?
So I'm looking at the standings right now, and apologize for people who don't know me as well. I play something called Valorant, nice little esport. I haven't looked at the standings in a while, and something that really just jumped out to me right now is the Kings are the 3 seed.
Yes, sir.
Light the beam, baby. Holy. But I look at the standings right now, and I mean, the only team I really see dropping out is probably maybe the Timberwolves, maybe the Jazz kid. So I'd have to say 10 seed at max. I mean, unless a team like the Suns keep dipping maybe again a little bit, the Warriors have another injury, the Mavs are 3-7 in their last 10, the Pelicans are 2-8 in their last 10. You just kind of have to hope that one of those teams kind of skids a little bit, force maybe a Timberwolves or Jazz to fall out. But I just I'd have to say a max 9 or 10, honestly, because I just don't see a way. Like the West is so crazy. It's either someone skids or the Lakers go like 9-1 for a couple 10-game stretches. And you see that? No, but I think it is going to be a solid like 9 or 10 in my opinion, because like we've thrown so like I don't even know what the better word is. Like we've thrown so many games this year. Like they're games we should have at least 5 more wins right now. And 1-9 in our own division.
Yeah, it's very bad.
But yeah, I just because there's so much talent in the West that teams like the Kings, Jazz, and Pelicans have been so surprising this year. It's just like, do the Jazz keep it up? Do the Kings keep it up? It's like we don't know. Like we just have to wait and see. And I just go with my prediction as 9 and 10, but things even happen where we stay the 13th seed in the conference. And you also have to add like, will the Blazers play better? Like, will the Thunder somehow? Like, I mean, they have 23 wins. Will they get a couple more wins in here and there? Like, it's all like who knows. But the Lakers just simply need to play better if they want to make the plan and be that 9 or 10 seed. Because the way they're playing now is all right, but 46 points by one man is not enough.
And a career high 9 threes too.
Yeah.
Granted, he hasn't shot well from 3 all year, but he'll take that. But yeah, whenever the Lakers need to win, they lose, and whenever they win, all the teams above them win as well. So it's going to be very interesting that the West is just cluttered all together from like 4 to like all the way down to 13. Like all those seeds are probably going to move around a lot down the stretch. And shout out to the Kings, man. 27-19. Currently the 3 seed in the West. I remember we did a hot takes, I believe it was either during the preseason or before the preseason. Someone said that the Kings were going to end the playoff drought. I know you were very skeptical. I think you said they were going to be a bottom feeder. I kind of bought into it. I said, yeah, they have a chance to be a play-in team, but I didn't think they'd be obviously this good. But Fox and Sabonis have just been a really, really good tandem. Sabonis suffering that hand injury is obviously a big deal, but he's just been playing through it, which is obviously great. And you have Laker legend Mike Brown being a really good coach over there. Kings are cooking. I hope that they can keep it pushing. Hopefully, they can make the playoffs. If they even get home court advantage, that'd be insane. Because that Sacramento crowd is something else. I mean, that Kevin Herter 3 against the Jazz, where that clip I seen on Twitter, that arena just absolutely erupted, and it's just insane. Even though they're like technically a Laker rival, but I think the Sacramento Kings just really need this bad. It's been over a decade of not being in the playoffs, so I think this is much needed for them. And the Pelicans, I hope they can keep it up. Zion, shout out to Zion being injured for my fantasy team, but just got reevaluated. He's going to be out for 2 more weeks. But on the plus side, you got Brandon Ingram returning. He's been out for so long with a nagging toe injury. So at least you get one star player back, which is going to help him a lot. Daniel said they've been sliding a little bit. So, yeah, those are the 2 teams in the West I like to see. Then for teams I want to see blow it up, I think the trade deadline has been obviously very slow. There's only been 2 trades so far. Hopefully it picks up as we get closer. But there's been a lot of teams I think believe that they're actually going to be a good play-in or playoff team, and I think it's time to just give up on your hopes and dreams and just embrace blowing it up. And kind of alluded to it earlier, I think the Toronto Raptors are that team that needs to blow it up. I think, as I said, they're only game and a half out of 10, which I mean is obviously very doable. But I think if you're Toronto, you have higher aspirations than the plan. And is it really worth keeping this group around? I mean, you've been rocking with this group for a couple of years now. I mean, you got manhandled by the Sixers last year, which honestly I thought they were going to make it very competitive, maybe even steal a series. But Scotty Barnes hasn't taken the leap that many people expected. He's just kind of been the same stats from his rookie year. Fred Van Fleet has been awful. I've seen plenty of Raptor fans on Twitter just being really frustrated with his performance, and honestly wouldn't be surprised if he leaves, whether that be in free agency or getting traded, which I think free agency is probably more likely because I don't know if teams are going to be willing to buy into Fred having the season he's having right now. Could even trade Pascal. I think you can trade Pascal for a pretty decent amount. I think 3 firsts isn't far fetched from him, seeing the season he's having. I think you can trade OG for at least 2 firsts. You can trade Gary Trent to the Lakers for a first. I mean, you can probably get a decent amount of picks here from your top 3 guys, arguably. Maybe even top 4 if you trade Fred. But then again, his stock's probably very, very low. And I think it's just time at least make some noise at the trade deadline, whether that be start a full-on rebuild or retool. Doesn't really matter to me. But Masai Ujiri is a guy that probably doesn't want to go in a rebuild. So I mean, a retooling is fine, but I think a team like the Raptors is just time. You've been rocking with that group for a couple of years now. Don't really know what the ceiling is. So I think it's time for them as well. The Hornets, I think that's another team. They headed into this year like thinking they were going to be a very competitive team. Right now, they're second worst in the East at 13-36. You have guys like Terry Rozier, Mason Plumlee. You have Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, who's going to be up for contract. Yeah, pretty valuable pieces. I think it's just time to move on. You have Steve Clifford, who's an old head who doesn't like to play young guys. I think it's just time to play the young guys, um, because you have Mason Plumlee playing like 30 minutes a night. So I think it's just time for the Hornets to just blow it up, start full on rebuild. Started with LaMelo, you already have a good building block there. Um, Very unfortunate that Miles Bridges got all the off the court stuff because I think him and LaMelo would have been very fun to watch for the years of rebuilding. Um, Another team I think should blow it up, Phoenix Suns. I think the Suns have just been, yes, injuries have been a very big part of their sliding in the standings, but I think it's time for them to really look at themselves in the mirror. I know before the season started, Daniel and I were both pretty skeptical about the Suns in terms of their championship window, and seeing reports of them looking at Fred Van Fleet, which they just paid Chris Paul this past offseason. Or no, it was after their finals run, I believe it was. And pretty concerning because you just pay that guy. And as I say, Father Time is undefeated and he's looked pretty bad. He's been injured for a couple of games here and there, just hasn't looked aggressive as you'd like. But then again, he was like that last year where he's just very passive. And then you have occasions where he just completely takes over, like the fourth quarter. He did it against the Pelicans in the playoffs a couple times. I think for them, at the very least, trade DeAndre Ayton. I think DeAndre Ayton and the Suns are just kind of over. There's not much turmoil that you hear nowadays, but I just think it's the writing's on the wall. I think it's just time for him to go to a new place. I'm interested to see how he looks in like an up and coming team like the Pacers, and like can't get traded there because they offered him the offer sheet last season. But just a young team I'd like to see DeAndre Ayton on. I think just new scenery is there for him. And yeah, the Wizards, I've mentioned them. I think I already talked about them enough. And I think they just need to pick the rebuilding route. It's just been long overdue for them. And I think it's just time. Even though no clue what you're going to do with Bradley Beal because don't know who in the right mind is going to be willing to take on that contract. I'm going to look at it right now to see the yearly numbers on that bad boy, but it's probably not going to look pretty at all. So this year you're paying him 43, next year 46, year after that 50, year after that 53. The last year the deal 57 million, big ones. So don't know who's going to take on that contract, if at all, but I think it's just time. Time to just cut your losses, start from scratch, and just figure it out from there. Then again, don't know if Bradley Beal's a guy that you want to start a rebuild with, but oh well, at least for the first couple of years, he's probably going to have to deal with that. But yeah, those teams I like to see become sellers at the trade deadline. I think I want to have an exciting trade deadline like last year where we had the Harden deal and all the other ones as well. So I want to at least look a little more active when we get to that point. But if you do you have any teams you'd like to see blow it up?
Yeah, I won't go in as depth, but just real quick, just some teams. Obviously, I think one that 100% happen is the Bulls. I think that team should blow it up. Um, can't seem to really get over that quote unquote hump in the East. Obviously, the Celtics, Sixers, Bucks, Nets, Avs, and Heat are the top six. And I think it's going to stay that way. I don't really see anyone below that beating them. And I think that team kind of needs to look it over and realize, hey, we tried to build a super team here, didn't really work out, and now just got to blow it up. I think the Hawks are another interesting one. just got DeJounte Murray, and now you're at 24-24. I know some injuries have happened. I think that's another team who could kind of consider maybe trade Trae Young, kind of go into that rebuilding process. They had that Eastern Conference Finals run like a couple years ago, and ever since that, it's just kind of So I think that's a team that definitely should fit. Um, the Knicks, I don't see the Knicks blowing it up, but at the same time, who really wants any of their players? Um, and yeah, I think in the East, those are kind of the teams I think should blow it up. I think we've already said it on this podcast. The Suns, obviously, and I think 1 year of the experiment just blow up the Timberwolves. we've already exposed or not exposed or just explained our thoughts on that. No one's gonna trade for Rudy, but tried anyways. I mean, guy's terrible. Um, but yeah, I think those are some of the teams I think they should really consider blowing it up. I'd say Lakers, but chose not blowing it up. So
How much time we at? Alrighty. We can jump into. No, it's been a little while. We can jump into some fantasy basketball. It's been a couple weeks since we last checked in. Record update standing at 10-4. Most likely heading into 11-4 after this week because I'm playing a team that does not update their lineups, which is like most of the league nowadays. It's basically like the top 6, 7 players in this league that constantly update their lineups. So it's nice to have some free wins here and there. I've been on I think I won a 2-game win streak right now, but past couple of games, I've had some pretty free ones. Currently in our league, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4-way tie for second, which includes me and Daniel, and then Brody and Mikey Delgado. So getting a little heated at the top. So, but overall, my team has been solid. Trade for LeBron, which seeing his performance last night was crazy. 46 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, which led to 83 fantasy points. Obviously, all smiles from me. Don't know if I mentioned I had Embiid. I don't think I did, but trade for Embiid as well. He's been crazy. Has a red day to day though, so a little concerning. Missed last game. He's questionable tonight. We'll see how that goes. OG Anunoby, he's currently injured as well, ankle, but Nick Nurse says he'll play hopefully. And then talked about Zion a little earlier. Been without him for 3 weeks now, and just got reevaluated yesterday, I believe it was, and he's out for 2 more weeks. So not great missing Zion, who's one of my, I guess you want to call him top guns on my team, but LeBron and Embiid are going to have to hold the fort down for the time being, which is I'm completely okay with. So I think heading into good spot here. 11-4 on the horizon. We have 3, 4, 5 matchups, or I should say 5 weeks after this one. So fantasy basketball playoffs are coming up here pretty fast. So that's going to be interesting to see how good old fantasy basketball playoffs go. But yeah, my team chugging along, was unfortunately on the receiving end of a number 3 all-time performance of Donovan Mitchell scoring 72, I think it was 73, and Klay Thompson dropping 50 points against some team. I forgot who that was, but yeah, that was over winter break. So it's unfortunately on the receiving end of 2 historic performances, which led to a loss. but whatever. We keep it pushing. So far, I think if I had to go on a limb, I'd probably be like a top 3, 4 seed when the dust is settled. So can't be too mad at that.
Yeah, so my team is a 3 seed right now. We are right under Matt, and if you look at everyone who has made moves, I have only made 2 moves apparently out of everyone, and I am the 3 seed W. Matt and Ryan, who's our friend, are probably the 2 most active, I'd say. They're top 2 with 38 and 36 moves, while I'm sitting at 2. Yeah, I honestly, I kind of mid-season, like I just kind of got lazy with waivers, but I'll still put my players in. Except last Monday, dude, MLK Day, man, all the games were done by like 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I was just like, why? But it's okay. But my team took a disappointing loss last week. Jackson team. Now we're looking at a 100-point deficit right now to this.
Mikey.
The 4 seed Mikey's team, and we're not looking good. I don't know what's happening. I just think that these past couple weeks we just decided to be bad. Like Giannis was out for a whole week. Like Jimmy Butler's day to day again for the 18th time this year. And I mean, I'm probably gonna drop Dennis Smith soon. I don't even know why he's still on this roster, to be honest.
Been dropped.
I don't know why he's here, to be honest with you. Kenyon Martin is like, I mean, oh wait, he's had a good string of games. Never mind. I don't even know like what's happening with my team anymore. Like, it's fine. Lou Dort put up his annual 5-point game. Thank God. It's like, I mean, I have stars, but I have injury prone stars like Giannis. Well, not Giannis is injury prone, but like he'll go day to day. Giannis, Beal, who's always hurt every other week. Butler's day to day every week. Aaron Fox and CJ are cool, but like I have a really stacked team. If we could stop being bad, you know, like this team, I think could be in the the finals of it all if we just stop being bad. Like I don't know. Like Isaiah Stewart popped off beginning of the year after then he got hurt. Now he sucks. DJ Washington, I never wanted him, but here we are. We're just gonna have to keep. I lose to Mike. If I lose 2 straight matchups in a row, I'm not gonna be happy. Can't play Ryan next. We need a win, dude. We gotta lock in here. Like we gotta put on our LeBron faces and get going, dude, because this is not good. But honestly, overall, I'm pretty happy with my team. The Giannis deal that we did, I like it a lot.
Yeah, that blew up in my face dramatically.
I like that. I mean,
hold on. Early in the season, Kyle Lowry was a hot commodity to our friend Ryan Judge, and I literally told him, I'm like, bro, Kyle Lowry sucks. He literally sucks. He was he was god awful last year, and I remember Ryan and I watched. I think it was against the Wizards. It was like Lowry and friends on the court. Like everybody was injured, and he just went insane. But didn't really buy into the hype of Kyle Lowry, And yet I have myself with Kyle Lowry on my team making, quite frankly, an idiotic trade, and a trade that haunts me in my dreams. It was a trade. I think it was during our break from the pod. Traded Giannis and Quentin Grimes. Yeah, Quentin Grimes for Zion and Kyle Lowry. Zion's been good besides his injury. But we've been playing easy teams, which is a grace from God. But he's been good, but obviously not Giannis level. And Giannis has been kind of going AWOL since I traded him. And, I always make these idiotic trades from time to time. And on my mic, there we go. It's just very unfortunate. And I always look back at like my fantasy years and look back at the trades I've made and always think to myself, why did I do that? And right now I'm doing that right now. So not great. Definitely not great. I mean, I had Giannis, I had Anthony Edwards. Who else did I have? I forgot who else. But looking back at my week one team, I miss that team because good old testosterone from when you get trades done is just it's one hell of a drug, and I constantly find myself in that position. And yeah, dude, looking back at my team, had Shea, had OG. Well, OG's technically still here. Had Ant, Giannis. So overall, miss that team. And I drafted James Wiseman, which turns out to be an absolutely horrific pick.
W pick.
Which I thought was like a huge upside pick, and now he's technically injured right now, but he's hasn't even played for the Warriors for like the past couple of months. So, and Jordan Poole was pretty bad as well, but he's starting to pick it up, kind of.
Like realistically, I'm looking at my team right now. The team is stacked. We just suck right now. Like I forgot how good my team is. Like we have our weak spots. Dort's either 5 or 40. Kenyon Martin's a solid 20 a night. Al Horford's either 20 or 49. Like Quentin Grimes is kind of bad now. Whatever. Reggie sucks. Dennis sucks. Stewart still has his pop-off potential. EJ is whatever, and then Brogdon's whatever. We can just get our stuff together and be healthy and stop being day-to-day. Like, this team could go places. But I think we're just going to have to keep playing day-to-day because Jimmy and...
Honestly, Jimmy hurt his back in warm-ups. Yeah.
Dude, what? Dude. Kidding me?
Let's go.
I didn't even realize why he was out. He played like 10 games in a row without being out. Good job, Jimmy.
W.
I mean, honestly, if I lose this week, I just need to win one of the next team matchups. Don't want to go 6. That is what will be looking scary. I think I honestly will win. I have like all my star players playing today besides Jimmy, so I think I should be fine. But honestly, like if me, you, and Ryan can make top 4 somehow, that would be content. Because one of us would have to get against each other. That week will be like...
That'll be interesting.
Surely Giannis doesn't die right before the playoffs.
Surely.
Oh, Lord, fantasy. All for what? For me to waste another $25.
35 this year.
30. Dude. What a waste of money. It's okay. I love fantasy.
How much time we at? We'll call it there. So, first pod of 2023 is officially under our belts. Thank you for tuning in. However you tuned in, whether it be YouTube or University Pulse, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. If you're new, we're the Basketball Maestros. We talk everything basketball, and we talk NFL as well at the beginning of our shows. So if you're a big football guy, make sure to tune in at the beginning. And yeah, feel free to check us out on all our socials at Instagram and TikTok at the Basketball Maestros. TikTok's getting more active. Gonna make that a goal this year. Gotten some pop-offs. I think one got like 7K views like a couple weeks ago. So gonna be more active on there. If you want to give us a follow, feel free. But yeah, We go live every Friday from 4 to 5. So feel free to check us out on every Friday. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
So what